In the chapter that is semiconductor, we are going to learn very important technology, that is the depending upon the electrical conductivity of the electron. We are knowing different types of substances that are metals, conductors that are nothing but the conductors, insulators and semiconductors. The use of these we are going to learn in this chapter. It has very great applications in our solid state technology. What is solid state technology? We are using all the electronic devices. In this electronic devices, the substances or the materials which are used, they are nothing but the semiconductors. Of course, these semiconductors they are available in the nature in a plenty of quantity, that is silicon and germanium. And from this again, various types of semiconductors like oxides of these, some chemical and artificial semiconductors are nowadays they are prepared. Using this semiconductor technology, we can construct a transistor, that is bipolar transistors PNP and NPN, by using which we can have the amplifier circuits. Not only this, many of the technologies they are ahead nowadays, that is by using transistors the ICs are being prepared. ICs are nothing but the integrated circuit technology. In this ICs, many of the circuit or many of the components they are connected to form the circuit, and in a small space many of the components they can be fabricated. Again, there are hybrid microcircuits. Memories are developed. These circuits in the computer, digital systems, televisions, they are electronic circuit, and these electronic circuits are possible by using semiconductor technology. Not only this, we have sent the satellites in the space, and these satellites they are being governed by using the remote sensing devices. They are carried out, they are functioning by using electronic circuits, that is supercomputers. All these they are being constructed by using this semiconductor, and that's why the solid state technology or semiconductor technology, it is a very vast technology nowadays. In forthcoming period, a new technology, that is superconductivity, it is going to take place, the semiconductor technology. And that's why what we are learning in the chapter, that is the foundation of a new era, that is the new technology. Of course, this technology, applications of this technology, we are using mobile, television, pacemaker, computers, tape recorders, radios. All these are the examples of semiconductor technology. When this semiconductor technology it will be get converted into superconductivity, that time all these facilities that will be developed, or it will be enhanced 100 times, 1000 times, and that is the forthcoming technology. We shall wait for it. Now here what we are learning, that is semiconductor. In this semiconductor, the materials we are going to differentiate between three categories: conductors, insulators and semiconductors. What are conductors? The materials in which there are free electrons, and you know very well, in the metals, in the all types of metals, there are free electrons in the outermost orbit. The number of electrons available per meter cube, they are 10 to the power 28 electrons per meter cube. Means plenty of electrons are available for the electrical conduction inside the conductors, and that's why they are known to be the conductors. Next, insulator. These insulators, the examples are glass, wood, rubber, mica, ebonite, uh, again concrete, marble, etc. These are insulators. Inside this, there are very few electrons present. Number of electrons available, they are in the range of 10 to the power 23 electrons per meter cube. Since in the outermost orbit of the atom, number of electrons are very less, the insulators are known to be the bad conductors of electricity and heat. That's why the metals are most convenient for us for the conduction. Now, very important aspect is that many times we require partial conductivity or the significant conductivity of the material, and for that purpose the third category, it is semiconductors, and these semiconductors are silicon and germanium. Silicon, it is being obtained from silicate, that is sand. There are certain crystals in the sand, grey color crystals in the sand, they are germanium crystals. These are semiconductors. And other semiconductors which are hybrid semiconductors, they are gallium arsenide, gallium nitride, cadmium sulfide, etc., zinc sulfide, lead oxide, copper oxide. These are the semiconductors which are hybrid semiconductors. Now, see here, we have said here silicon and germanium. Silicon and germanium. In this silicon and germanium, the typical property of the silicon and germanium is that in the outermost orbit of the silicon, there are 4 electrons that are known to be the free electrons. The electrons which are present in outermost orbit of the atom, that are free electrons, these electrons, they are bound loosely with the nucleus. Other electrons which are inside the orbit or in the inner orbit, like first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, like this, they are tightly bound with the nucleus, and therefore these electrons cannot be easily removed from the atoms. And the electrons which are present in the outermost orbit, that are valence electron, they decide the valency, and they also decide the combining property of that atom with the other atom. In silicon and germanium, there are 4 electrons. The 4 electrons, they are the free electrons. These electrons can migrate easily from the atom, or we can eject them freely, easily from the atom, since they are very loosely bound with the nucleus. Next thing, these silicon and germanium, they are localized in the 4th group of the periodic table, and that's why their valency is 4. Let us proceed for next, temperature dependence of electrical conductivity in metals and silicon semiconductors. Very important fact is that when metals are heated, their resistance increases and their conductivity decreases. When the temperature is increased for the metals, their resistance increases and their conductivity decreases. And same thing that can be obtained over here, or that can be seen over here. If we draw a graph between conductivity and temperature, you will observe that as the temperature increases, the conductivity goes on decreasing. It is not suddenly going to decrease, it is going to decrease exponentially. And that's why this property of metal, it is not sufficient for conductivity, because the conductivity goes on decreasing. Means what? The electrons which are free electrons in the outermost orbit, the number is becoming less. On other hand, for semiconductor, if we plot a graph between conductivity and temperature, you find that this graph is exponentially increasing. The graph is exponentially increasing. Now look at this As the temperature increases, the conductivity also increases. It is not going to suddenly increase, it is going to increase exponentially, and as the conductivity increases, the resistance of that conductor or resistance of that semiconductor decreases, and it is very convenient to us when the resistance decreases, more and more current can flow through the semiconductor, and which gets us or which gives us the beneficial profit for the conduction of the electron. Next is classification of semiconductors. First is elemental semiconductors. Elemental semiconductor. These are basic semiconductors. Firstly, these basic semiconductors were found by the scientist Childe, and he has studied the properties of these semiconductors. He has prepared some devices from this. That devices we are going to learn later on. First is elemental semiconductors. The examples are silicon and germanium. We have just discussed about the semiconductors, that is silicon and germanium. Next is compound semiconductors. Here these are single or pure semiconductors. Here there is a combination of two metals, two substances or two materials, we can say cadmium and sulfide. They are composed. Z and S, zinc sulfide, they are composed, they are going to form a compound, and that's why these semiconductors, they are called as compound semiconductors. Very important things. Not only this, many of the semiconductors are available, that is lead oxide, copper oxide, etc. Oxides of the metals, they are also works as a semiconductor. Next is organic semiconductors. These are organic based semiconductors. Mostly they are artificial. They are artificial, and these semiconductors, they are just invented, and that's why the applications for the semiconductor, it is limited. The examples are anthracene, next is doped phthalocyanine, and next is polyaniline, etc. These are the organic semiconductors. Now, to study the properties of the semiconductor or special features of the semiconductors, we must know the electronic configuration inside the atom. We know that inside the atom there is a nucleus. Surrounding to the nucleus there are these orbits. First orbit, second orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit. These orbits are discrete. Their energies are constant. Their energies are constant. For example, for first orbit it is minus 13.6 electron volt. For second orbit it is minus 3.4 electron volt, and so on. This way the energies are different for different orbit. Now when we put the configuration, we have to use the Pauli's exclusion principle. What is Pauli's exclusion principle? No any electron that occupy or that have both of the two or more spin electrons, or not more than one quantum numbers. There are various quantum numbers: principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, magnetic quantum number, spin quantum number, like this. And what the Pauli's exclusion principle says, in a single orbit, no two electrons can remain with same spin, and that's why in a single orbit the two electrons which are having up spin and down spin, they can occupy. And for a sodium, the atomic number it is 11. This atomic number, it is divided. For sodium, it is divided like this, 1s2. This is first orbit, 2s2. This is second orbit, 3s1. It is third orbit. Now, inside the orbit, this orbit it is also called as a shell. There are subshells or suborbit. For example, here this is 1s2, means first orbit, it can occupy the first suborbit, that is s orbit, and it can occupy 2 electrons. One is having up spin and another is having down spin. This is second orbit. But in this, these electrons, they are splitted s2 and p6. S, P, D, F, D, E, F. These are the subcell in the particular orbit. And therefore, for the second orbit, S and P, these are the suborbit. In S suborbit, there are 2 electrons. In a second suborbit, there are 6 electrons. And in the third orbit, it occupies the one subshell, that is suborbit. It is S, and it occupies only 1 electron. Now, this is the outermost orbit. Third orbit, it is the outermost orbit, and this third orbit that occupies the 1 electron only, and that's why this electron which is in the outermost orbit, it is called as a free electron, and it is also called as a valency electron or valence electron, and that's why the valency of the sodium, it is 1. Valency of the sodium, it is 1. Now here the energy diagram we are going to learn. See here, this is the distance from the nucleus. This is the energy, that is potential energy. These curves shows the potential energy, and these are the number of orbits from the nucleus. This level, suppose it is the nucleus. From first level, this is first orbit, this is second orbit, this is third orbit, and the electrons, they are distributed like this: 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, or we can say that 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 and 3s1. Here we have considered this as a single atom. When we consider a 2-atom molecule, that time the distribution of the electrons are like this. This is the distance, this is the potential energy, this is potential energy for first atom, this is the potential energy for second atom. The electronic configuration is like this: 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s. Now here this 1s1, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1, and same for this another atom: 1s1, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. And this way, in a subshells S, P, D, F, the electrons are distributed, and in outermost orbit, what are the number of electrons? What are the number of electrons that decides the valency of that atom? Next, here energy bands. Now this part, it is very important for us, because the energy bands are responsible for conduction of the electron, to get the conductivity and resistivity of the electron. Now here, this is the first band. First of all, let me tell you what is band. See here, when we say first energy level or first orbit, this first orbit, it is first energy level. Now in this energy level, there are certain electrons. All the electrons inside the substance, there are many of the electrons. The Electrons which are in a first orbit, they do not occupy the same exactly same energy. There is a certain range. There is a certain range, and the range of energy which is occupied by the electrons in that particular orbit, it is called as a energy band. It is called as a energy band. Again, I will repeat. The range of energy which is occupied by the electron in that orbit, it is called as a energy band. And here, this is 1s band. Means what? For first orbit, for first subcell, there is a band of energy. There is a range of energy. Now, in a sodium atom, this 1s band, it is completely filled. There is no chance to occupy or release the electron from this, and that's why we say that this band, it is completely filled. Or these electrons which are in 1s or first orbit, they are strongly bound with the nucleus. This is 2s band. It is completely filled. There is no chance to take or give out the electrons from here. Here, 2p band completely filled. This 2p band also, it is completely filled. 2s band completely filled. 2p band completely filled. But what about this? This is the 3s band. This is the 3s band. Now, in this 3s band, only one electron is available. And this is completely half filled. Half of the portion of this band or range of this energy, it is empty, and half of the band, it is complete band, it is filled. And that's why we say that here there is a space. There is a space. Follow this. Next, this half filled band, it is called as a valence band. It is called as a valence band. We know sodium has one valency, one electron, it is present in this. And this way, this electronic structure or electronic configuration, it is distributed in the form of bands. That is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. For us, only valence band, it is important. Only valence band, it is important, and this is what energy band in semiconductor. In semiconductor, the valence band, in the valence band, or for silicon we say there are 4 electrons which are free electrons. There are 4 electrons which are free electrons. Now, these 4 electrons that rise in this valence band. Immediately after the valence band, there is another band which is called as conduction band. Which is called as a conduction band. Now, the energy difference between these two, that is, energy difference between top level of the valence band and lower level of the conduction band, it is called as energy band or energy band gap. It is called as a energy band or energy band gap. Now, what happens? At absolute temperature inside the semiconductor, all the electrons, they are bound, strongly bound with the nucleus. But at room temperature, some of the electrons, they are getting the energy because of heat, and they jumps into the conduction band, and only these conduction band electrons are responsible for the conduction. Only the electrons in the conduction band, they are responsible for the conduction. See here. When the energy is provided to the valence band, this energy that can be provided by means of many things, by applying the magnetic field. by applying the electric potential, by applying the thermal energy, by giving the photonic energy, like this. And this application of energy, it is called as pumping. Next, when this valence band electrons, they get the energy, they are going to jump in the conduction band, and only the electrons which are present in conduction band, they are responsible for the conduction. They can be conducted through the metals. We will learn band structure in conductor, semiconductor and insulators. Here, this is conduction band. This is valence band. And in this, in the conductor, these conduction band and valence band, they are mostly overlap. The overlapping is shown by the cross mark. The overlapping is shown by this cross mark. There is an overlap between conduction band and valence band, and therefore the energy band gap between the conduction band and valence band for the conductor, it is equal to 0. For the conductor, it is equal to 0. Let us come to the semiconductor. Inside the semiconductor, there is a difference between conduction band and valence band, and this difference, or there is a band gap. There is a band gap. This band gap, it is greater than 1 electron volt to 3 electron volt. 1 इलेक्ट्रॉन व्होल्ट ते 3 इलेक्ट्रॉन व्होल्ट पर्यंत त्याच्यामध्ये काय असतो, बँड गॅप असतो. अँड नाउ when the temperature is supplied or when the electric current electric EMF it is supplied, electric potential is supplied to the valence band electron, they get the energy and they are able to jump in conduction band. Once this electron jumps in the conduction band, they are ready for conduction. Next, this is the insulator. In this insulator, this energy band gap, it is very large. It is about, this energy band gap, it is greater than 3 electron volt to 15 electron volt. 3 electron volt to 15 electron volt. Even though we have given the energy to the valence band electron, these electrons are unable to jump in the conduction band, and that's why there is no conduction. And it is very important feature for this insulator is that there are no electrons in the conduction band inside the insulator, and that's why insulator, they are not conducting. They are the bad conductors. Next, see here. Creation of vacancy in valence band electron. Creation of vacancy in valence band. What happens? This is valence band, this is conduction band. At absolute zero of temperature, both the here only the valence band occupies number of electrons like this. There are no electrons in conduction band. But when the temperature it is increased, the electrons, they jumps into the conduction band. And these conduction band electrons, they are known to be the free conduction electrons. These electrons, they are responsible for conduction. Now you will see that here, when these electrons, they are jumping from valence band to the conduction band, the vacancy, or we can say that the deficiency, it is being created. This deficiency which is created by the jumping of electron into the conduction band, moderately the charge on it is positive, or it is just a positive charge, and therefore this deficiency, it is called as a hole. the holes are created. When electron jumps in conduction band, hole is created. When electron jumps in conduction band, the hole is created, and these holes and electrons inside the semiconductor, they are responsible for the conduction. There is a main difference between the conductors and in semiconductors, and that is what inside the metals or the conductors, the conduction takes place, conduction of electricity and the heat takes place by means of electrons. But in semiconductors, the conductivity of electric current or heat takes place by means of holes and electron. By means of holes and electron. The detailed things about this that we are going to learn in a next lecture.